Alright, in the last behind the build, we modified the front subframe to get the steering rack sitting just a little bit lower so that we don't have any interference problems with the oil pan. So today is a big day and we're finally making engine mounts for the V10. So first things first, we're going to slap the V10 back into the RX7 and then we're going to bolt up the front subframe, just make sure that everything is still looking nice and good, and then we'll take a look at what we need to do to make some engine mounts and get them welded in place today. So let's go do it.
Alright, so the subframe is bolted in place. The engine is roughly where we're going to be wanting it. And you can see that we've got a nice healthy amount of room in between the pickup tube and the subframe. So when we go to make our oil pan, we just need to keep it really tight to the pickup tube to clear the subframe. And hopefully that works.
It's looking pretty good. The one thing is, if you look at the actual pickup, it is a little too close to the subframe itself. So we're probably going to have to notch out the subframe just so we have room to actually fit it around it.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be too big of a problem.
Yeah, we can't really go any further back, so
yeah,
a little bit of notching there, but that should be okay.
Well, we could, then we just wouldn't have pedals.
Yes, which is important.
That's true.
So we'll throw the steering rack in there. This is what we were working on in the last Behind the Build series. But you can see that the steering rack also clears the pickup tube nicely. This section sits nicely in its little pocket in the subframe. And then I'll show you guys the steering column, how it comes up. You can see that it's going to stay pretty nice and tight to the frame rail. Bring that up here. Kind of goes in this little pocket here, stays nice and tight. So I'm hoping with the exhaust that we should be able to clear.
Yeah, so and then with the exhaust, we're planning on cutting it here where it was welded from factory and then twisting this whole part to be rear facing. It will make sense when you see it in here. So right now it's hitting the steering column right there.
Yeah.
But with that turned, I think we're gonna have like almost 2 inches of clearance there.
Yeah.
So
if we just perfectly turn it so it fits in between the starter and the steering column there.
yeah.
Should be okay.
Yeah, I think that'll work good.
Looks pretty decent. Now, for engine mounts, what are you thinking?
Here, go over, yeah. I think this is actually looking really good. So I'm thinking if we just take some beefy square tubing and just come directly off this part of the subframe here, we'll just get it cut to the right angle. So we'll block the engine up on blocks just so we get it sitting perfectly level and exactly where we want it. And then we'll just have some tubing that comes right off here and then bolts to the engine mount. And then if we want, we can always reinforce it down here as well. And then pretty much the same thing on the driver's side.
Just watching out for the steering rack a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. The only other thing that's coming down here is we have a banjo bolt coming off the side, which is really nice because it's not going to be protruding right into the mount. So we just have to be a little bit more careful about the steering column, but yeah, I think it'll work.
Alrighty, so let's block up the engine, get it right where we want it, and then let's start making those arms.
Yeah, sounds good. so the mounts turned out really nice and the engine is sitting exactly where we want it. So next thing is we're going to drop the subframe back out of the car. We're going to pull the engine back out of the car as well, and then we can finish up on the engine mounts, getting them welded in for good. Made these little plates that are the exact same size as the engine mounts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to weld these onto our engine arms just so that the engine is going to sit in the perfect spot. When we had the engine in, we took all the measurements so that we know exactly where to put these. So that was a very important step for us to do. Last little thing is we marked these little access holes, and we're going to be cutting these out so that we can actually reach in there with a wrench and put on the nuts, because that is kind of important. So let's do it. All right, moment of truth. It's all done and it looks great. So let's throw it back into the car and just make sure it fits good.
Alright, it's finally in there, mounted. No need for a crane or milk crates anymore. It is sitting in there, I want to say under its own power, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we are still waiting for the transmission mount. We're going to be doing that at a later date. So right now it is just mounted in the front, and then also when we get the transmission mount, we'll degree the drivetrain, get our 3.5 degrees. Right now it's sitting perfectly level left and right, and it's centered right where we want it, but that's as far as we can get it right now today.
You see the mounts down here, looking nice and solid. One arm there, one arm back there. You can see that we kept the distance between the pickup tube and the subframe nice, so not a lot of room, but enough room for when our oil pan goes on there. And the steering shaft, nicely tucked against the frame rail. You can barely see it down there, but the steering rack is just nestled in between everything, but has enough clearance to do its thing. Now that the engine is in place, we can start working on rebuilding our firewall, rebuilding the transmission tunnel, one step closer on the engine bay shave, and that is very exciting.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a pain to actually get the engine in there on the subframe. It was not a lot of working room and a little tedious, but I mean, that's to be expected. When you start doing anything custom like this, it usually doesn't go to plan, so.
Yeah. Also, once we bolt it in there, then it kind of just stays in there.
Yeah,
hopefully, sure. Anyways. So, anyways, we're all done for today. We had a lot of fun. Hope you guys had a lot of fun. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing. And we'll see you in the next video.